So last night I watched a game that had absolutely meant nothing to nothing, but it was the most entertaining nothingness that I've watched in a long time. What am I talking about? I'll tell you guys after the intro. I know you guys are trying to figure out what I'm talking about, so I'm going to tell you. This weekend is the NBA All-Star Weekend, and everybody knows that these games mean nothing other than a bunch of people showing off their talents. So what was I talking about? What game? Was the US versus World game. 161 to 144, the US team beat the world team. Those numbers are ridiculous. There's no reason why we should be scoring this much points in a game unless it's not competitive at all. And it wasn't. It's not because any team was better than the other team. It's just because it's the way it's been every year for as long as I can remember this game. Kyle Kuzma put up 35 points, 35, 6, and 5. He got the MVP of the game last night. Ben Simmons on the world team got 28, 6, and 5, which is retarded. That team lost. He put up a lot of points. He was really efficient too. I believe 14 for 17, if I remember correctly. This game absolutely means nothing. It's just honestly the beginning of the weekend. They play this game. Everyone jumps around, dunks for the last 5-10 minutes. Nobody's trying. Everybody's just trying to look as good as possible because they're young and they're trying to make themselves exciting to possibly get put onto the All-Star game, into the All-Star game next year. That's really all it is. But the game is fun to watch. Dunks, 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 highlights, highlights, highlights. They did this for the internet. Tomorrow or whenever, I'm going to try to put some links under here and show you guys some of the things, some of what you've seen this weekend. But that being said, that was not the only part of the All-Star game play or All-Star weekend. Also this weekend, we watched the skills competition, which is slowly becoming my favorite competition out of all of them. The other two being the dunk off and the three-point shootout. Skills competition, you got some centers in there, you got some guards in there, you got some forwards in there. They mix it up really well. Last week, I said that the Aaron Fox was going to win. If I knew what the format was going to be this year, if I paid better attention, I wouldn't have told you that the Aaron Fox was going to win. He actually got ousted in the first round. The winner of the skills competition this year was Jason Tatum. Now, if you don't know what the skills competition looks like, I'm going to give you a quick visual. It starts with a dribbling activity where you go left, right down the court, and then you do a pass into a little hole that is in a little place. You put the ball in the hole, you run to the next ball, and you run then across the court, hit a layup, grab the ball, go back the other way, hit a three-pointer. That part changed everything that I thought was going to happen with the skills competition for the better, because some people were taking three-point shots from half court line and hitting them. And that is exactly what Jason Tatum did to win this three-point competition. He was losing, I believe, every single lap that he did. And the last final, he played against Trae Young, and he hit a three-pointer at half court when Trae Young was going to beat him the whole way through. Trae Young almost cheated because he decided that he wasn't going to dribble and literally threw the ball down the court and chased after the ball. And everyone knows that Trae Young hit a three-pointer from anywhere, but Jason Tatum hit one from half court and beat him by a fraction of a second. It was a really good game. I would probably watch that one over the other ones in most years. This year was very entertaining. I'm going to tell you now about the three-point shootout, which was really fun. Started out with Del Curry running off his mouth saying that he wanted his one son to win over the other. He wanted He said Steph Curry had too many championships and stuff already, so he wanted the other brother to win. And for some reason, I can't remember his name. It's not Steph. Holy, I can't remember his name. The other Curry. That's what I'm gonna call him. Whatever. But guess what? Neither one of the Currys won. Last week, I chose Buddy Hield. Thought Buddy Hield was gonna win. He did not win. The winner was Joe Harris. Joe Harris went ham. 25 points in the first round. 26 points in the first round. 3-point shooter. He is elite. He plays for the Brooklyn Nets. I'll be honest with you. I knew the Brooklyn Nets were good. I didn't know that they were hiding this guy. This guy is a legitimate 3-point threat. He makes, after watching this, I actually want to add him onto my team. I want to see if I could steal him from one of the guys in my league. If they're smart, they won't let me have him. Dunk off result. The winner was from OKC. Diallo won. He has a vertical of 46.5 inches, and he used it on this dunk off. What he did, that I hope you can find at some point, what he did was this. I'm going to give you the visual. The man comes up to steal, says, "Hey, Shazam, steal. Nice to meet you, man. I am mild-mannered dunker from OKC. Can you stand right here for me?" And then he obliges. Shaquille O'Neal obliges. He goes, "Look, guys, look at this. I am actually Superboy." Okay? So he says, "Okay, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab this ball, and I'm going to show you guys something that I can do." Steele has no idea what's going on, guys. Hype up. Hype up. I'm about to do something amazing. See, look at that. Westbrook's dressed up like he's on his way from Philadelphia to Fresh Air or to Bel Air. And then, bam! All of a sudden, this guy jumps over a 7'1" man, puts his elbow inside the rim, and says, "Guess what, guys? I was Superman the whole time." That happened at the dunk off this year, guys. People were jumping over planes this year, guys. People were doing some of the most outlandish dunks that we've seen in a couple years. But among all of them, a man jumped over Shaquille O'Neal and put his elbow in the rim. I don't even know what else to say about that, guys. If I didn't paint that picture absolutely perfect, then you are the problem, not me. That's what happened. I'm putting that up there with one of the best ones that I've seen. Probably one of the best dunks I've seen in the dunk off in the last few years. OKC finally has somebody who wins something, a championship of some kind. Diallo won. It was amazing. That was my NBA All-Star weekend. In sadder news, different sport, the NFL, my heart has been broken. Antonio Brown has requested to leave my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. That hurts. But on the bright side, as a GM, you want to see what team he goes to see where you're going to pick him up. He's probably going to be a number one pick no matter what team he goes to in fantasy football world. But it sucks to know that he is leaving my favorite team. Apparently, the problems with him and Big Ben, they don't really get along too well. This guy's been with the team for 9 years. You're talking about 31-year-old, so he's still relatively fresh. Still has another 4 or 5 years left in him. We're talking about in the last 9 years with the team, he's been with the Steelers the whole time. He's 31, 837 catches, guys, 11,000 plus yards, and 74 touchdowns. 74 touchdowns in 9 years. You were talking about an elite wide receiver, which is crazy because Pittsburgh Steelers are about to lose an elite running back as well. That's crazy. They still have Juju Smith, who I think is probably going to still be a third, fourth round pick for a 10 team league. He's still going to be a good wide receiver, but Pittsburgh's going to need a lot of help at receiver if they're going to get rid of this guy. This guy's all world, probably number one receiver in the world, and my team has just lost him. One of the questions that pop up is what team you think you're going to lose him to. The rumors are San Francisco 49ers is one of the rumors. Arizona Cardinals is one of the rumors. And the Miami Dolphins are also a rumor. What I want to happen, I think I want to send him to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I want to get back at least a D.D. Westbrook and a first or second round pick. Draft pick in the NFL is what I would be looking for. Just for starters, you got to get back somebody like him. You can't lose an Antonio Brown and get back nothing for him. So you got to get yourself at least a first round pick. You got to get yourself at least get maybe a linebacker, something. Pittsburgh has a lot of holes right now. We didn't even make the playoffs this year, so we got a lot of spaces that we got to take care of. So we're going to use that, and hopefully trading an all-world wide receiver might get us back a couple other places, a couple other problems solved. In other news, Joe Flacco, longtime Baltimore Ravens, which means I'm trained to hate him. He's been traded to the Denver Broncos, so maybe this might be the year that I will feel comfortable picking him up in my fantasy league. He's been in the league for about 10 years. You're talking about almost 40,000 yards in those 10 years, 200 plus touchdowns, and only about 136 interceptions, if I remember correctly. His passing rating is 84.1. Not the best, not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. But he is going to a team that has Emmanuel Sanders, who is always been a consistent, steady wide receiver. He always makes his quarterbacks look good, even when the quarterbacks aren't good. And to be honest with you, Joe Flacco is a good player, so they should mesh well. They also got another new young receiver, I should say, Cortland Sutton, who's going to be a star in this league. Remember, I told you guys that. He is going to be a star in this league, and Flacco might make him look really better, accelerate the path, make him a better receiver. That being said, Lamar Jackson is going to take over as starter of the Ravens. He's more of a run first quarterback. He does have an arm on him. He does have an arm on him. Let's see what happens. I'm not too sure yet. I don't know if the receivers in Baltimore are going to be able to complement this guy's skill. But in my opinion, run-first quarterbacks usually don't have that long of a career. But, I mean, you have your Mike Vicks, who lasted for a long time. Same time, you have your Kaepernicks, who didn't last as long as, say, as a Mike Vick. So who knows? Who knows what Lamar Jackson's going to end up being? But what we do know right now is that he's going to be the new starter next year for the Ravens. And to be honest with you, I'm not too sure if I'd pick him up in my fantasy league because I don't really know if his wide receivers are going to make him look good enough to stay on my team. Speaking of run-first quarterbacks, Kaepernick they've actually settled with the NFL on the collusion grievances that were filed. I'm not sure how much they got for it, but it is interesting to know that he did settle. They didn't go to court and go through all the accusations and such. So, although I know I don't want to step too much into the Black Lives That Matter, but I will say they did settle for the collusion grievances. They didn't actually say, or they weren't actually guilty of collusion because they didn't go to court and settle it. But that's always an interesting conversation that a lot of people are afraid to get into. That's NFL. We're going to talk about UFC in a couple seconds. March 2nd, UFC 235. 235. This is still going. I still think I remember watching UFC 1 I'm pretty sure I watched UFC 1. Not to age myself, I'm not 235, but I've been watching UFC for a really long time. Main event is going to be John Jones versus Anthony Smith. John Jones is still 20, 25 and 1 now. I think he's 25 and 1. Uh, I haven't really seen him lose. Even his loss was by disqualification, and it was a pretty bad disqualification. I don't want to get back and disrespect Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill was getting destroyed, and it was literally a bad elbow that they disqualified him for. And that's John Jones' only loss. Anthony Smith, on the other hand, has lost 13 fights. 31 and 13 is his record. Personally, I think John Jones is going to squash him. But this is why we have the fights, because although I don't really see what area Anthony Smith is going to beat John Jones in, I you got to watch it and see if it does happen. I personally don't think that he has much of a chance. I like Anthony Smith, good fighter, but John Jones is he's the man. I think he's the best fighter I've ever seen any sport. The co-main event this month, or this match, is going to be Tyron Woodley versus Kamaru Osman. Sorry. And this is another one. I don't really see where Usman can beat Woodley. Woodley is A1 wrestler, probably one of the best in the business, and he's going against Usman, who, although he's 14 and 1, I haven't really seen him get tested as far as his battle skills and how much heart he has, how much he's willing to go. I remember a couple matches ago, he claimed after the match that he was only using 30% of his skill. That kind of, I would say, rubbed me the wrong way as far as what I think he is and how good I think he is. I don't really believe he only used 30%. I think he was just really being a little bit of a showboat. Wrestler versus wrestler, though. But as I said, Tyron is on another level as far as wrestling goes. And to me, from what I've seen, he's also a harder puncher. He's also faster, and he has a lot more battle experience. Tyron Woodley's been knocking out some of the best welterweights in the division for the last few years now. He's had that belt for a while. He recently got another black belt, and plus he's a wrestler. He's a prime time wrestler, which means he's usually stronger than most of the other disciplines, physically stronger. And as I said, he's faster, and he has a really, really hard punch. One of his training partners is Ben Askren, who will also be in a match with Robbie Lawler. So what you have here is a wrestler who barely gets hit because he's such a good wrestler that he's always able to move people and take away their best attribute. That being said, Robbie Lawler is the puncher of punchers. He hits with pure power. He swings with pure power. This match, I think Ben Askren is going to win. First off, Ben Askren is 18-0. He hasn't lost yet. Robbie Lawler's fought a lot more fights. I think that's going to be a disadvantage to him in this case. To be honest, he fought Woodley a couple years ago, and I think Woodley might have permanently messed this guy's chin up. I don't think he's going to have the strength to if he gets punched too much. I don't think he's going to be able to hold out too much. I think his chin's probably going. He's getting a little bit older, a little bit long in the tooth. On the other hand, Ben Askren isn't really known for being a puncher fighter. He's more of a wrestler that mauls you to death and takes away your ability to hit him. That's going to be a fun match to watch because those two are almost mirror opposites of each other. But he is one of Woodley's trainers, his wrestling trainer, and from what I've heard, he gives Woodley the business, and Woodley is the champ. So for him to get the business is a pretty big feat. Females match is Ticia Torres, who I like. She's 10-3. She's a really fun fighter to watch on the straw weight section. the women's. She is fighting an 18-1 fighter named Wiley Zhang. I'll be honest, never seen this girl fight, but she's 18-1, so I'm assuming that she has some sort of high skill level. It's hard to find 18 people who don't know how to fight, so a few of those matches must have been legit. Cody Garbrandt is going to fight Pedro Munoz. I'm expecting Cody Garbrandt to stand up and box with him a lot. If he takes him down, I don't think he has an advantage on the ground, even against Pedro Munoz. But standing, I think he has a good chance of knocking him out. TJ Dillashaw might erect his jaw a little bit too. He might not be able to take as much punches, but I don't know if Munoz is going to be able to throw enough punches to knock Cody out. They are lightweights, which means you got to throw a lot more punches as a lightweight because you don't hit as hard as the heavyweights. I think I've said this a lot of times, but so it's about 3-1. 3 good punches to knock a lightweight out if you're another lightweight, and because they don't take as much impact, his jaw, I'm not as worried as him taking power shots as Robbie Lawler would now, because he's fighting heavier competition at the end of the day. What other matches do we have? You know what? The other matches I don't care about, because we are going to talk about the other fighting, the fighting that's going on this weekend on Sunday. Fight. What kind of fight? I don't know if we've ever talked about this fight before, but it's WWE. My guilty pleasure. I love it. I still watch WWE, and I'm still going to talk about it every chance I get. Sunday is the Elimination Chamber. That is when it's basically a cage match, but they make this cage amazing. They throw everybody in pods, and then they let people out to fight like a bunch of endangered species who, if you lose, your whole species dies. It's awesome. That's my favorite. Elimination Chamber on Sunday. Women's Tag Team Champions are going to be crowned. For the first time in WWE history, there is going to be Women's Tag Team Champions. That is awesome. If you are part of the Me Too movement, you care about this. Women's Tag Team Champions. That is what gender equality has brought for us in 2019. Nia Jax and Tamia versus the Riot Squad versus the Iconics versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville versus Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Naomi and Carmella. If you know anything about any of these girls, you know you want to watch just because they are beautiful and they can actually wrestle too. It's not like back in the days when you had Sable, who didn't do anything but just stand there. These girls can wrestle. These girls are really good fighters, and they're all going to fight each other. The winner's going to get the belt. If I was to choose who the winners are going to be out of everybody, I am going to guess that it is going to be the Iconics. The Iconics are going to win the Women's Tag Team Champions, the very first ones. Other matches going to happen. Championship match. Ronda Rousey, if you were wondering where she was after she left UFC, she is in WWE now, and she is fighting Ruby Riott. She is actually the champion. Ronda is going to win. I like Ruby. I like her team, the Riott Squad. I like her character, but I don't think Ronda Rousey is going to lose until WrestleMania when she fights. I don't know if she's going to fight Charlotte or if she's going to fight the man, Becky Lynch. But however that works out, I think her first loss is going to be at WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley is going to fight Finn Balor. If you guys do not know who this is, I feel like I'm talking to people who have never watched WWE in a long time. I shouldn't, because I know a lot of you guys are undercover WWE watchers. But I'll let you guys, I'll let you guys pretend. I still watch it. I mark out for it hard. One day, my back is going to feel good enough for me to get in the ring. Remember that. Probably not. But Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush at the same time, which means that Finn Balor is probably going to lose. I like Finn Balor, but Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush, they're both amazing fighters, and they're both on the same team in a handicap match. You're not going to win a championship beating two people. Not Bobby Lashley, not Lio Rush. Not going to happen. Miz and Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon still wrestles. I still can't believe this. Versus the Usos. I hope the Usos win. Miz, love you to death, bro. Hot wife, nice kids, super duper family. But you know what? You and Shane McMahon looking like tag team partners makes me sick. And I hope the Usos super kick the life out of you guys and take their belts back. Braun Strowman, Baron Corbin. I like both of their characters. I like Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman's going to beat Baron Corbin. But I hope that the WWE does something with their characters. I think they're both going to be awesome. Buddy Murphy versus Tozawa is going to also fight. I think but this is probably the most upset potential in this card right now. I think that Buddy Murphy's going to lose his belt. But I don't think he's going to lose it for that long. If he does lose his belt to Tozawa, I think he's going to get it back in probably a month or two. Get his belt back and continue his reign. Last but not least, the main event is going to be Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles versus Randy Orton versus Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy versus Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is not going to win. I want him to win. I really hope that he wins. He's not going to win, though. Daniel Bryan is probably going to continue to hold his belt because he's awesome and because his character right now and the way that he wrestles is pretty safe. I don't see him getting hurt. And I think that he is going to continue to be the champion. He is the human version of Captain Planet, and it's hilarious. And I think he's going to continue to hold the belt for a little bit longer. So what did we learn today? We learned that I, Coach Wondergeddon, is still a lover of the WWE. We've also learned that John Jones is probably going to continue to hold his belt for a little bit longer. We have learned that there is a man out there brave enough to jump over Shaquille O'Neal and dumb enough to put his elbow inside the rim. We've also learned, oh my gosh, you know what we didn't learn? We didn't learn that the Brooklyn Nets are probably going to be one of the best teams in the second half of the NBA season because Joe Harris has now been exposed to the world, which means he's going to have the green light to shoot threes all night. Every game for the rest of the season, he is going to shoot, and shoot. What else do we know? We know that Antonio Brown is going to leave my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't know where he's going to go, but we do know he's still going to be a first or second round pick in fantasy sports. We've also learned that Joe Flacco is going to the Broncos, which is hilarious because he left the Ravens, who I didn't like, and went to the Broncos, who I kind of like now. And I like him more that he's a Bronco than he did when he was a Raven. That's what we learned today. We've also learned that Black Lives do matter and that Kaepernick did get some money for the collusion grievances that were filed. They settled. He got back some money. We'll see if he shows up in the CFL or if he shows up in the NFL again in any type of capacity. We don't know. But we know that they gave him some hush money to stop telling everyone that there was collusion against him. That is what we learned today. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next week, all right?